everybody says no, and then that one person says yes.
Hi, and welcome back to On the Plus Side with myself, Sharon D, on Islands Got Curves. And today I have Emma here, and Emma has quite an exciting job, really, making films. So a job that we don't come across every day. Or to you, is it just normal to make films?
It's normal to make films to me. Like, it's an industry, I guess, that there's a lot of women in production, on the production side of stuff and the organisation side, but there's not a lot of women, say, on the crew side, and we'd love more women to be there. Like, so sound recordists, first ADs, like assistant directors, um, gaffers, electricians, people, grips. Like, it'd be great if more women did that.
What's a grip?
A grip is someone who, like, helps with the wires and helps with like bringing stuff to and from the camera department and helps setting up equipment mainly and scenes.
And why would you think that it's mostly a male dominated area? Is it because women are technophobes? Is it because women just wasn't given that role before and haven't actually became part of it? Or
I think maybe it's because there's a little bit of maybe technophobe there, but also it would be perceived as a job that maybe there'd be a lot of heavy lifting and manual labor, and that might put a lot of women off. But it isn't really. Like, there's support there, and especially nowadays, there's lots of health and safety stuff that has to go on. A lot more carts, available to even help the men out to do what they need to do. So I think that's probably why originally women tended to stay in the office where it was warm and dry and not out in the middle freezing rain. But I just think more women should do it, because it opens up a lot more opportunities for them. They get to travel around the world. They get to work with different people. Like, the wages are good because you're compensated for the short time frame that you're working for. Sometimes you're away from family and sometimes you're not. It swings and roundabouts.
So that's a really interesting point, because one of the reasons I wanted you here today, except for you're amazing and all the things that you do, one of the things I wanted you here today was the whole work-life balance, because for your job in the film industry, it's more demanding time-wise. In a short period of time, it's quite intense. And how does that come into play with family, with children? How does that work?
It's a little bit challenging. If you have, say, a husband or a partner that is in the industry, there's probably a more understanding there, so maybe it's a little bit easier. But if you're working away at the same time, that could be hard. A lot of people tend to go to Dublin, and when they have families, they tend to stay in Dublin because the radius isn't that far. It's either Dublin city or county, and it's not that far to travel. But for someone like me who lives in Galway, that's kind of out of that circle, and being a single parent, it's a little bit tougher. You just have to have a really good family support network and friends with kids that are the same ages. And you negotiate the time off,
You do.
Well, it's not time off, it's time away.
Time to work, time off of being mom, and, well, you're always a mom, but, and doing something else. So you have your own production company, BabyJane Productions, which, congratulations. Like, it's not every woman that's, say, a single mom that would say, let's just open my own film production company, I mean, it's quite a risk or a leap of band. Is it something you've always been involved with?
Well, not in the production side. I started off as an actress many years ago. And then I left Ireland in '99 because there wasn't much going on here. All the work was in London. And then I went from London to LA, and it was there that I kind of got into the production side of stuff. And I was like, oh, I really like this. I'm really good at this. I can do this. Because the organisation I love. And then I got better at the funding, and I was like, oh, I can do this. This is good. So then when I came home to Ireland, I said, right, that's what I want to do in 2011. So I just begged, borrowed and steal and knocked on loads of doors. I said, please, can I just get any experience on set? And that's kind of how I did it, working my way up. And then in 2015, I was like, okay, I want to do my own stuff. thinking it was going to be easy. But it's, you know what, any business is a learning curve. You set out, you know, because going from employee to employer is a very different ball game. You know, people think you get more time to yourself and you get more time to sit on the beach, and you don't really, because the worry is always there, because it's your other baby. You know, this
Yeah.
is your other baby that you have to mind and make sure it's fed and watered and kept going. And there's huge failures along the way, but that's what teaches you to survive and to keep going. And sometimes you have to throw the towel in. Sometimes you got to go, okay, this isn't working, got to dump that and go on and focus on this, you know.
Yeah, and it's hard, I suppose I should say, when it is your baby and it's for so long been like something, to let go of something that perhaps isn't working. It's a big decision. And yeah, so okay, so LA, London, Dublin. Okay, what's the difference?
Do you mean culture wise?
I mean lifestyle wise.
Well, what I say to people, when you're in different countries, people are always people. They're always the same. The personalities, you know, differ, but it's still human beings being in different cultures. It's the weather in LA is amazing. You know, it's a desert county. They don't call it a county, but you know, California is a desert. So it rains like 1-2 weeks a year, and that's it.
Oh wow, a bit different from Galway.
It's really different from Galway. Could you imagine coming back? I was freezing. It's freezing. And then London is, so LA is all business. So you go there and it's very much a business. Like I went there to act. So you have to, like, it's like going to any job. You got to get up, you got to be ready, you got to do your work, you got to, you know, go to classes and make sure, and auditions, and just be on it all the time, like any other job. You know, a lot of the time you're not getting paid. So when you get that job that pays you 20, 40, 50, 100,000, then you have to save that money so then you can keep going at what you do. So you don't have to go and get work as a waitress. But then sometimes you do have to go and work as a waitress, you know.
It's a real Hollywood story, and I suppose that's what's so different. Like, people listening to this and myself, you know, you'd often see this thing like, go to Hollywood, you know, wait tables, become an actress, get discovered, and you know, make loads of money. Was that the dream?
That's what I was so naive. I was like, I'm going to walk down the street, this big Hollywood producer's going to see me, it's going to be amazing. That didn't happen at all. But what did happen was that you just got a really better understanding of the business, you know, because I would have come from a theatre background. I did some TV work in London, but not a lot. But then you're on the shows that you watch, like I was the dead body in CSI, heard from the background, you know, something else, and then you get to really see how all the elements work. And so that was really interesting. And then you're talking to crew and you're learning about their roles and what they do. And so then that's what that gave me. It gave me kind of time to see all that on a bigger scale.
I would imagine as well, leave the career aside on a personal journey. I mean, first of all, you're coming from a small country or county compared to like LA, and you know, and to be brave enough to say, yeah, I'm going to go to LA and become an actress, number one, to take that leap. And to actually, like, did you have contacts out there, or did you just like pack the bag and put it over your shoulder and off you went?
I was a little smart. I went there, I did a recce with my sister beforehand. So it was going to be either New York or LA. And we went out for holidays, 2 weeks on each. And I just knew when I went to LA, that's where I wanted, because New York was very similar to London, and it was like tall buildings and it was closed in, and I had done 10 years in London. So I was like, I don't want this same, claustrophobic feeling. I wanted to be free. So then LA is flat and wide.
Okay.
So it was like, oh, this is it. You know, this was it.
Bit like the prom in Galway.
Completely like the prom in Galway, yeah.
So guys, what I want you to do now, I'm so interested in the travel malarkey. Comment down below if you've travelled, where you've been to, and where you're living now, because we're on the internet, so you could be anywhere. But it's really interesting to see maybe your top 3 things about a country that you love. That'd be a good idea.
What made them move. I love hearing people's stories about why they moved.
Yes,
you know, because it is that you have to start all over again.
Yeah.
when you go to different countries. So it's nice to hear people go, well, I did it because of this. I broke up, or I wanted to travel, or I wanted to just completely run away.
Yeah, because so many people are going to Australia now. They're going to Canada now. They're going to the States if they can. Lots of things like that. But I mean, I made the huge journey of an hour Ryanair flight all the way from London. I didn't really travel very far to where I ended up. But I have travelled, you know, on holidays and stuff like that.
But it was a big move for you back then. You know what I mean? Because you were uprooting.
Yes.
And you did have to start again. And you came here and you had to just figure it out because... You know, we say rashers and you say bacon.
Well, when I came, it was punts. We weren't on Euro yet. We were still in punts. Do you remember the good old punt days? And I was here for the whole change of it becoming really expensive. Because when I moved here, compared to London, it was quite, I wouldn't say cheap, but, you know, my money stretched a lot further. Yeah, the good old days. The good old days. So, you mentioned before you're a single parent now. So, is that why you've moved to back to Ireland, or was you here before, or what's grounding you in Ireland now?
It is my baby. My baby. She's not a baby anymore. She's like, don't call me a baby. She so I had her in 2014, and that kind of having a child gives you roots, and the travel, like I don't travel as much anymore, and you know, it's a good thing in a sense because you need to focus. It just gives you a lot more focus, but I couldn't, you know, I don't want to be away from her. So even in my business, I have to figure out how do I do my business without having to be away a lot.
Because you have festivals, Cannes and all of this kind of thing. I presume you have to travel to be networking, or do you?
You do, yeah. There's Cannes, there's AFM, and there's Berlin. There's certain markets that you go to every year. Like this year, I couldn't go to Cannes because of babysitting. Like I didn't have anyone to look after her. But when she's a bit older, I think I will take her with me.
Oh, cool! That'd be amazing. Like where you are, what do you do for the holidays? I just went to Cannes, you know.
I think she'd be bored.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But I went to she goes to a lot of meetings with me, so she's very well versed.
Very good. And how do people react to you turning up with your daughter at meetings? Like,
I'll prep them, and there's certain ones that like I wouldn't, like committee meetings say that I wouldn't, but one-to-one meetings, I'll just say, listen, I have to bring her with me. Yeah. And there was never any problem. Like the heads of banks, the heads of Bewley's, like, you know, the owners, amazing. Like they were fine. Like there was no bother.
That's great. And it is a big hard juggle, especially we've just had summer holidays and there's people that have been out of routine from what goes on with school and that kind of thing. So it's a balance, and sometimes it's just about hitting on it right, you know.
You know what I think at the end of the day, that you're always going to maybe be slightly out of kilter. Like that's, the older I get, the more I realize that something is always going to take more of your attention at one time, and it's just the way it is. Yeah. And you just can't forget the rest of it. It's so easy to get tunnel visioned, but actually we have to go, no, okay, I have to do my work, and then I have to park it, and then I have to go and mind my baby and look after and hang out and let us build, and then but then your parents, you know, might be like, oh, I need this or I need that, and it's just always going to be bouncing and balancing around. I don't think we're ever going to get it fully balanced. We're learning all the way.
Yeah. But I suppose it's about forgiving yourself and not putting pressure. Like, I once read, instead of apologising for turning up late, not that I turn up late too often, don't get me wrong, I do sometimes.
It's okay. I forget.
People are watching, they're going to be like, yeah, you do sometimes. I learned to say thanks for waiting. Instead of saying sorry I kept you waiting or sorry I'm late, just say thanks for waiting. And I mean, I wouldn't be rude and leave people waiting and not phone or text and say I'm running or something. But it happens. Life happens, you know, sometimes, and it's as simple as that. Like,
yeah, there's a load of pressure, I think, on us, and there's a load of pressure on women, I think, nowadays, you know, because it just automatically, I see it with my friends that like, oh, you have to mind the baby and you have to organize the house and you have to go out to work, and it's like, well, where's the other people in this picture, you know? Or is there a negotiation going on where you've already had the discussion and you've said, okay, well, I'll do this and you do this, Because in my mind, I want it all to be fair. Probably living the dream in my head a bit, but
Yeah.
you know, like it shouldn't just all be on one person to, you know, like,
Yeah.
why can't the man be like, well, listen, I'll tidy the house, maybe that's my job, and you take care of the finances.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
something different.
And you do always hear a child's raised by community until you actually want someone to help, and it's like, where's my community gone? You know. But no, I mean, I'm lucky. I do have the perfect husband in the sense of, yeah, he never babysits. He always just looks after his kids the same as I do. Do you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, but it is really important to get that balance. And what an interesting story, and what an interesting career. Like, I mean, wow. I mean, I'm so honoured because I'm like, yeah, here's people like in movies, you see them going off to become an actor, and you hear all the stories about how Brad Pitt started, or this one started, that one started. I've actually met someone that actually went and did that. What is your highlight of your career? What is the one thing that you can look at and say, wow, that happened to me?
Ultimately, it's my business, because it's been so challenging, and I learned like resilience and persistence, and like everybody says no, and then that one person says yes, and then that opens the door to everything else. And you just have to keep going. That's the one thing I can say to anybody. Whatever you choose to do, if you really truly love it, just do it.
Yeah. Another quote, I'm good with my quotes today, aren't I? Another quote I saw is, it's never no, it's always next opportunity.
Yeah.
It's never no. On that note, 15 minutes again hasn't been long enough. We're so sorry. Hope you've been commenting down below. What an interesting insight into somebody that went to Hollywood. Is LA Hollywood?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I got that right. Tune in next week on the Plus Size at 8 p.m. See you then.